Good afternoon, one and all. Myself, Smita Ponda from CSE Department of AG Patil Institute of Technology. Welcome you all for this today's session. So hope you all had a great experience up till now. So here for our next session, we are having a new speaker. He is Assistant Professor Ravindra Rathod. Uh, and he has completed his MTech in electronics and telecommunication. He has experience of 10 years in the same, and industry experience of 3 years, and research experience of 2 years. Okay, so we are having Ravindra Rathod sir for the next 2 sessions. Okay, so I hand over this session to Rathod sir. So sir, please you can take on the session further. Uh, I request all participants to just wait for a few minutes. So, sir, he has joined right now. I think he was disconnected. Okay,
Okay.
Rathod, sir.
Yes, madam. Thank you, madam, for the
Uh,
introduction.
okay, sir.
Uh,
So you can carry on the session, sir. Welcome,
okay.
sir.
Okay. Madam, I am audible, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are audible.
Okay. So, madam, I'm
Yes.
thankful to all the audience who
Okay.
has participating in this workshop, and for the benefit of the student and for the benefit of your organization and for the benefit of the society, you are devoting your Sunday. I'm very much thankful that you are devoting your Sunday for this particular session.
Yeah.
Uh,
Thank you, sir, also for giving your time for us.
Okay, thank you. So let us start with my session. Today I'm going to cover the IoT security aspect. So IoT security, if you see that already see, sir has given me a few idea about that what is covered up till now as far as this IoT training is concerned. So I think this is the particular thing that is not covered in your entire training. So that's why I wanted to give some idea that what is an IoT security, and we'll have some discussion on the IoT security, and we'll discuss about few aspects of IoT security and why it is important in today's scenario. So let us start with this. Now, before starting this my session, I will like to give you some. Just a minute. I will share my screen. Can you see my screen? Yeah. Hello. Can you see my screen?
No, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. It takes time. So let us talk about the IoT ecosystem. You might have an idea that IoT ecosystem. What is an IoT ecosystem? So let us, in my perspective, that what is an IoT ecosystem. So let us say that we up till now you are using some small device. Okay, so that small device may be an IoT device, which is comprising some devices like Arduino Uno, Arduino Mega, or ESP01 or ESP8266. Like this IoT device is there, which is having some small computing power as well as smaller RAM, smaller ROM. Okay. So we have an IoT device. Okay. Now this IoT device is connected to a system. Okay. That system is an IoT gateway. IoT gateway. So this is an IoT gateway, and with this IoT gateway is similarly an hardware which is having more computing power and having a dedicated operating system compared to an IoT device. Okay, so I will tell you that why the gateway is required and why the IoT device is required. We'll come to that point. And finally, we needed a cloud. Okay, so this is an cloud. Cloud. Okay, so now if you see that there are so many public and private clouds are there. So AWS and Azure IoT, these are the major stakeholder in the cloud computing, and they are serving lot of IoT applications and IoT services. And if you think about then open source cloud services, then IBM Watson is an open service cloud, and ThingSpeak and IoT cloud. So a lot of students they are doing a project over the cloud ThingSpeak. So even though Microsoft Azure, Amazon Cloud is also providing an one year free subscription. So, but for that you have to take a registration through your credit card, and you can use its services free of cost up to 1 year. But you have to put it your credit card credential to their site, and then you can allow to use this Amazon services. So you might have idea about this one. So let us say that, and so whenever we say about an IoT, so your IoT device is connected to the gateway, and your IoT gateway is nothing but an which converts an low protocol communicating protocol. So, so in between this IoT device and IoT gateway, there is some communication protocol, and between IoT gateway and the cloud, there is a communication protocol. Okay, so probably when gateway is connected to the cloud, the most important protocol is used or known to be as an internet protocol. So let us say that this is an internet protocol. So gateway is connected to the cloud through an internet. Okay, and we can say that IoT device and IoT gateway is connected through an any protocol. So that any protocol may be an MQTT protocol, maybe an RESTful protocol. Okay. So the IoT device is connected to gateway with the help of an any protocol, or let us say that for sake of example here we are taking an MQTT protocol. Okay, so this is given to a device. Okay, a remote device. This is given to a remote device. Okay, remote device. So probably when we wanted to use a data, that data can be seen remotely. Okay, so the services that is known to be application specific services. So this is given through an API. Okay, application specific interface API. Okay, now over here the communication can happen. Let us say that communication happen. So your Bluetooth device, your IoT device can be connected to a mobile phone using a Bluetooth. So here it can be directly communicated. Okay, so over here the communication protocol is used as a Bluetooth. Okay, so I'm simply writing in a Bluetooth. So there is no need of gateway, there is no need of cloud. So directly, let us say that your wearable device, which is a small IoT device, which is connected to a mobile through a Bluetooth. Okay, so now even though if you take an example over here, so if you are using a device such as ESP01, okay, ESP01. So let us say that one application which is using an Arduino and ESP01, which is having an Wi-Fi capability. So Arduino doesn't have an Wi-Fi capability. Even Arduino Mega doesn't have an Wi-Fi capability. But let us say that when we wanted to connect over an internet, we can connect an ESP01 small module. Okay, so this can be connected in a way like this. So your IoT devices is connected to an ESP, and your ESP01 is connected to an cloud. Okay, so this is by means of communication. This is mean of an communication. Okay, so here you can see that this in this particular IoT ecosystem, it covers your small IoT device. Okay, so which is your use in case of an field, a gateway, industrial gateway, which will convert an which will use for converting an protocols to internet protocols, and through an gateway it is connected to an cloud. Okay, so even though this is another scenario where your IoT devices is connected to an mobile device using an Bluetooth control, and this can be an application through an application specific server. Okay, so this is in particular IoT ecosystem. It's in particular IoT ecosystem. Now here, when the security is concerned, we have to secure. Now these are the asset. Okay, for us, what are the asset? Your IoT device is an asset, your gateway is an asset, and your cloud is an asset. Okay, and we wanted to secure this asset. Okay, and even though your data is also an asset, so we wanted to secure the devices. So this is IoT devices in your hardware, your gateway is in hardware, and your cloud is in service, or it is an host. Okay, so this we have to also protect. And the data, so maybe let us say that if it is generating some kind of smart city data, like it is giving a temperature of the city, humidity of the city, the carbon dioxide level of the city. So these are the data. So this we wanted to protect by means of security. Okay, now when it comes to the security part, so basically it covers an information security. Can you see my screen? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So information security. So we can, in the information security, we can say that data. Okay. So that data may be at rest. Maybe it is in your device. The data is resting in your device or stored into your device, or this data may be in a transient state. Okay. So maybe you are sending this data to cloud. So maybe it is in transient state. Okay. Maybe it is in a transient state. Okay, so here the primary factor is over here is what securing this data. Okay, so that comes under an information security. Okay, now the next part in the security comes with the cyber security. Cyber security. Okay, so in the cyber security we are securing any entity. So here we are securing any entity which is connected to the internet. Any entity which is connected to the entity. Okay, so here we can say that your network devices, your computing device, your computer that is connected to the internet, your data which is connected to the internet, your webcam that is connected to the internet. So any entity which is connected to the internet, and that should be secure. That comes under an cyber security part. Okay, and the third part of security that is comes under known to be computer security. So computer security is complete and hardware security. Okay, now all these three securities. Okay, information security is related with the data security. That data may be at rest, or it is in storage device, or data may be in a transit condition. So maybe we are sending data to the cloud, or we may be sending data to some application. Cyber security, the entity that are connected to the internet that we wanted to secure, and the computer security, which covers your hardware security part. Now here, okay, I will come to again one more diagram over here. So if you let us say that So let us say that this is a circle, which is your computer security. Which is your computer security. Okay. Now let us take another circle, which is your. So your computer is connected to an internet with the help of an cyber security. Okay. So let us take, this is your cyber security. Okay. So we'll take one more circle. We'll take one more circle. Okay, and which is again overlap with this cyber security part. Okay, so let us this circle is of an information security. InfoSec, we can say that InfoSec. Okay, now this is overlap, completely overlap. So your cyber security is overlap with the computer security, and your information security is overlap with your cyber security. Okay, now the cyber security part provides an internet connection to your hardware device and as well as your data. Okay, so here we can say that. So this overlap part covers your computing devices that are connected to the internet. So in this particular case, this overlap circle uh, covers the computing devices that are connected to the internet. Okay, and this particular overlap circle is covering your online information. Okay, so whatever online information you are sending, so this will be overlap over here. Okay, so here in a computing in a computer security, here your IoT device lies. Okay, so here in this particular part, the IoT device which are generating data like temperature sensing or humidity sensing or whatever data you are generating through your IoT devices or through a sensor, and you are sending it over the cloud or over some network or over some your devices. So that particular part comes over this computer security, hardware security part. So your IoT device lies over here. Your IoT device lies over here. Okay. So I already mentioned that what is an IoT device. So it is a small computing device having less RAM, less ROM, and which is used to send, which is used to connect some sensors, and through that sensor we are generating data and we are sending this data to the cloud. Okay, so let us take over here in this all three circles where the IoT security lies. Question to the audience that in this three circle where the IoT security lies. Hello. 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 My question to the audience that in this three circles where the information, where the internet security lies, IoT security lies. Hello, I'm audible.
Middle, yes, sir. Middle circle.
Middle circle. Yes, I'm expecting another response. Hello.
Intersected red area.
Intersected red area. Okay. So the response for this answer, this question is that it lies in all these three circles. Okay. So here we are not only securing the IoT device, we are also securing the IoT gateway. We are also securing the IoT data. Okay. So here we are securing all these three entities for the security, for the IoT security purpose. Okay. So the information, the internet security lies all in this three particular area. Okay. Now we'll go to some examples. We'll discuss some examples. We will discuss some samples that how this internet security will come into a picture. Okay, so here the most important thing is that asset. So your IoT device, which comes under IoT security, is an asset for you. Your IoT gateway. Okay, so let us say that Raspberry Pi is an IoT gateway which is having a dedicated operating system like Raspbian. So let us say that your Arduino is connected to a Raspberry Pi and your Raspberry Pi is connected to an Amazon cloud. Okay, so so your IoT gateway, your IoT gateway has to be secure. Your IoT device has to be secure. Your cloud has to secure. Okay, so the cloud, you can take any cloud. Okay, and the most important concern is that your data should be secure. So whatever data generated through an IoT sensors or different sensors, so these are the assets that we have to protect, that we have to secure through from the external threats. Okay, so that external threats may be from some hackers, or maybe that may be from the external systems. Okay, so these things are for value to be protecting. Okay, so we need to protect an IoT device, we need to protect an IoT gateway, we need to protect an cloud, we need to protect an IoT data, the generated IoT data. Okay, so let us come to one more part. Okay, so here I will discuss one more example here. Okay, so in the there is an hack, there is an attack known to be as an PewDiePie. Okay, so basically this is an attack carried out on the printer, and some message is given to all the printers. So the all printers are printing one particular message. Okay, so this is an www.com, bbc.com. So PewDiePie printer hacker strikes again. Okay, so here this news is from 16 December 2008. So are you able to see my screen? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay. So such type of attack is carried out on the printer, and every printer is printing the message like this. Okay, every printer is printing the message like this. So this particular attack is known to be an PewDiePie printer attack. So a printer is a hardware device, and this is an targeted device which is hacked, and it given an order that you have to print such type of message. Okay, so there is one more thing that is in the security concern, that is given as so there is an conclave known to be as a big crowd. Okay, so basically this conclave is, some companies are hiring, or the company is giving some target to the hackers that you can hack our website, and based on the hacking or whatever the security lacks are in the website or anything in the system, if the hacker is giving some concern about this security related things. Okay, so they are awarded by giving some award like Hall of Fame. They are giving some awards like swag. Okay, so here so many companies are registered. ARM Embedded is there, AT&T is there. Okay, Accenture is there. Okay, so this bug crowd is giving an open challenge to the attackers. Okay, so you can see that Adafruit is a big company which is providing IoT sensors, which are also providing some IoT boards. Okay, Adobe is there, big company names are there, and they are open, they are giving challenge to the hackers, and asking them to give some security concern related to their devices or related to their website. Okay, so hackers may be white hat hackers. They are useful for they are hired for some good cause. The black hacker, they are hired for some uninhabited cause. Okay, and there are some gray hat hackers, they do both good work as well as bad work. Okay, so this particular big crowd conclave is used to host them, and the security concern about website or devices are given here. So there are big company listed are there, and based on the security features or based on the security lags, the hackers are awarded like Hall of Fame or SWAC, like this they are awarded. Okay, so this is what and things are there in the IoT. Okay, now let us concern about that if you wanted to keep your IoT device secure. Okay, now let us say that you wanted to keep your IoT device secure. So how you can secure your IoT device? How you can secure your IoT device? Okay, so IoT device may be your Arduino Uno or your Arduino Mega or maybe an your ESP8266 device. Okay, or maybe you are using an Raspberry Pi directly as an IoT device, and your IoT device to and this Raspberry Pi, you are connecting some sensors. Okay, so let us say that if you wanted to keeping or securing your IoT device or keeping IoT device secure, you need to keep your IoT device password protected. The first thing is what your IoT device should be password protected. Okay, so in case of ESP8266, you are giving an SSID and your password to the hotspot to the network which is it is going to be connected. Even for the Raspberry Pi, the username and it is also in password protected. For Arduino Uno and for Arduino Mega, there is no such provision. Okay, so these devices are not password protected. So in that case, you need to use some devices or you need to use some different chips, and you need to make an IoT enabled devices, or you need to develop an application based on that particular chips. Okay, so there are few chips which comes under this category. Is one from the Texas Instrument and another is from the microchips. Okay, so even though Arduino Uno and Arduino Mega, these are not for an what we can say, this is only for practicing and developing an application. But if you wanted to make an commercialized product or make an industry ready or customer ready use product, you have to think about then another chips. You need to use your own PCB board. You have to design a multi-layer board, and by this multi-layer board you can launch your IoT product. Okay, so these things are there. So first most important thing is what your IoT device should be password protected. So another thing for securing an IoT device is what you need to update the firmware. Okay, now most those are using an Arduino Uno or Arduino Mega. Even though for the Raspberry Pi, you need to frequently update the softwares. Okay, you need to frequently update the libraries, or even you need to change the software or IDE for over which you are sending an hex file to that particular device. Okay, so this update firmware is carried out by two different methods. One method is known to be an OTA. That stands for over the air internet. Over the air update, that is known to be an over the air update. Another type of update is known to be an FOTA. Okay, so this is known to be an firmware over the air update. Okay, so you need to frequently update your firmware, and this is an automatic process if you connect it to an internet, and you can ask for the update for the firmware. Okay, the another important thing if you wanted to secure your IoT device is what you need to remove the old devices. Okay, you need to remove the old devices. That means what? Let us say that the Bluetooth speaker is connected to one mobile phone and another mobile phone or third mobile phone. Okay, let us say that third mobile phone is carried by your friend or some another people, and that is not in use. Okay, so in that case you have to remove such type of network, and you need to remove such type of old devices. Okay, now let us say that if you using some external device to an Raspberry Pi, then you have to remove. So let us say that if the camera is not in use position, so you have to remove that camera from the Raspberry Pi board. Okay, so such type of things you can do it for securing the IoT devices. Another thing is that Okay. Another thing is what you need to shut down functionality when it is not needed. Okay. So when your IoT device is not in use, you have to shut down. Shut down IoT device when not in use. When it is not in use. This most important thing is that whenever your device is not in use, you have to shut down that particular devices. Okay. Then another thing is that you have to disable automatic Wi-Fi connection. Okay, why it is important that if whenever the IoT device comes into an Wi-Fi area, it will be get automatically connected. Okay, and if you are using an external Wi-Fi, that Wi-Fi is not belongs to you, then it is an threat for your IoT devices. Okay, so you just only allow the Wi-Fi device which is for which the IoT device is intended to connect. Okay, and you can block some incoming traffic as well. Okay, so here in that case you can block. Okay, so if somebody is requesting your Raspberry Pi, okay, allowing your Raspberry requesting your Raspberry Pi to use, so you can block incoming traffic. Okay, when possible. So this, such type of things is there. So these are the things we can use to secure your IoT device. Okay, so you need to protect your IoT devices should be password protected. Firmware should be updated through any of the method. Remove old devices. So whatever the old IoT devices is connected, that you can remove from your network or from your system. IoT device should be shut down when not in use, and automatic Wi-Fi connection should be disabled. Okay. So such type of things are carried out to secure the IoT devices. Secure the IoT devices. Okay. Now let us take one more example here. Now we have an application. Okay, where ATmega 2560 is used. Okay, and to this ATmega 2560, a temperature sensor LM35 is connected. Okay, and this is connected to an cloud through an Wi-Fi chip ESP01. Okay, so this is a simple application where we are using an Arduino ATmega 2560 board, a simple temperature sensor to monitor the physical temperature, and to send the data over the internet we are using an ESP01 chip. Okay, so probably you might have seen this ESP01 chip will be like this. Okay, so such type of chip is used. Okay, this is a low cost chip. Are you able to see my screen? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So here, this is an ESP01 chip. Okay. Now, why we are not able to directly connect Arduino Mega to an internet? Because it doesn't have an Wi-Fi capability. Okay, so that's why we have to take the help of an ESP01 chip, and by using this ESP01 chip, we are able to connect. We are able to generate the data. So this is a temperature sensor. LM35 is a temperature sensor. Okay, and this temperature, and you can see the Arduino Mega board will be like this. Okay, so this is a big board having so many connections are there. So many pins are available here, and LM35 chip will be like this. Okay, so this is a temperature sensor, small temperature sensor. Okay, so there is no need of an signal conditioning circuitry. You can directly interface this and 3-pin sensor. You can directly interface to Arduino Uno, Arduino Mega, or even you can also directly interface to an Raspberry Pi board. Okay, so this is a simple applications where we are using an Arduino 2560. We are using a temperature sensor, and for Wi-Fi connection, to get an Wi-Fi connections or to get an internet connection, to send this temperature data, we are using an ESP01 chip. Okay, so let us hear. So here, if you see that the specification of an Arduino Mega, Okay, so it has an operating temperature 5 volt, input voltage 7 to 12 volt. Okay, these are the details are given over here. Okay, apart from this, what we are looking for, we are looking for an UART port. Okay, these are the specifications are given, clock frequency. Okay, which type of USB host chip is used. Okay, the length of the chip and everything is given in detail. So basically this you can see an Arduino board, Arduino Mega board. Okay, so this board has an okay, so let us take an data sheet for this one. Okay, so it has an USB port. Okay, it has SRAM details are given, EEPROM details are given, PWM pins are given, IO pins are given. So near about 54 IO pins are there. The syncing and sourcing capability of pins are given over here. Okay, the most important specification that I am looking for here, the number of UART port. Okay, UART port is known to be as an universal synchronous and asynchronous port. Okay, so there are 4 UART port are available for Atmega 2560. Okay, so whenever you are sending, whenever you are connecting Arduino board to your PC or your laptop, then only one UART port is used. Okay, the rest 3 UART ports are open. S3 UART ports are open. Okay, so only one is used to send a file or send a program file to an Arduino Mega board. In that case, we are using an 1 UART port. Okay, but rest of the 3 UART ports are open. Okay, so here most probably the hacker will look for an UART port or JTAG. Okay, so here through this open UART port, they will dump their own firmware. Hacker or intruder, they will burn their own firmware to that particular device. Okay, even though they are able to reverse engineering the firmware from that particular device. Yeah. Okay, and through this firmware, they are able to enter into a file system. Okay, and if it goes to an file system, they are able to get into a code. So what code you have entered into that particular system, and through that code, they are able to get your user ID and password. Okay, once they got your user ID and password, they can do it anything. Okay, but the purpose over here is what? In this case, what is major important concern is what whenever these ports are not in use or in application, you have to disable the open ports. That is what is most important concern, so that these ports are not available for any intruder or hacker, and through that they are not able to enter into the system. Okay, so when they are enter into the system, they will look for your ID and password, your user ID and password. Once they got your user ID and password, if you come to this particular diagram, where I have shown this particular diagram. So if you come to this particular diagram, over here, the target is not an IoT device. The target is not an IoT device. Through this IoT device, they are targeting an cloud. They are targeting an cloud. Okay, so through this IoT device, they are entering, and from this entrance, they are having an access of your cloud. Okay, so let us say that if you are having a subscription of an Amazon Prime, or let us say that you have subscription of some Netflix. Okay, and you are not able to use this Netflix or Amazon Prime, let us say that for a day. Okay, so basically this is known to be as a denial of service. Okay, denial of service. Even though you have a subscription, you paid for that particular service, and you are not able to use that particular service. Okay, so such thing will happen because they are targeting a big companies through this small device. They are targeting and big companies. Okay, so that is what their main purpose is. What they will get the door through your IoT device, and through that door they are targeting and big companies or big clouds or big enterprises. Okay, such an cloud. So this, for that you should not have an open loop holes into your system. Okay, and that's why the most important thing is that whenever the ports like UART port or JTAG, it should be disabled when not in use. Okay, this thing is there. Okay, so what you can do for closing this UART or JTAG port. Okay, the one thing is that you can have an enclosure for this one. So physical enclosure you can use. Okay, but this physical enclosure will protect the device from the dust or humidity or temperature, but it will not protect from the cyber attack or we can say from the attack, network attack. Okay, so it only ensures that your device your hardware is safe inside. Your hardware is safe inside, but this will look for only a physical damage. Okay? But it will not serve the cause of protecting your device, securing your IoT device. Okay, so what you have to do, you have to use an what we can say that defense in depth mechanism. Defense in depth mechanism. Okay, so in defense in depth mechanism, here we have to use a layer of securities. Okay, so similar way that we have in a house. So in a house we have main gate, then we have main door, then we have a door for an bedroom, and we have a door for almari, and we have a door for the valuables where we have kept in things. So like this we have to get a layer of security, and so for the intruder or for the hacker, the breaking of this security layers is somewhat difficult. Okay, so such type of defense in depth mechanism you have to do it for protecting your IoT devices or your IoT application. Okay, so this is an applicable thing for an hardware devices. Okay, another thing is that you have to look for some alternatives. Okay, so like ATE CC 608C. Okay, so here you can see that this is an chip chip from Microchip. This is more a crypto authentication chip. Yeah, it is more secured and most important for developing an IoT application. Okay, so not only using an Arduino Uno or Arduino Mega, you have to think some alternative chips, and through these alternative chips you can develop your own IoT application or your own IoT devices. Okay, so for this you have to design sorry you need to design the power supply for this particular chip. Then you have to design a PCB, multi-layer PCB, so that nobody can reverse engineering the whatever the application you have made or whatever the circuitry you have made, that cannot be copied, and it is secured. So this particular thing is that it is completely secured. Okay, and even though it is compatible with an AWS IoT. Okay, it is compatible with an AWS IoT multi-account registration. Okay, so such type of chips you have to look for developing in your applications. Okay, so this is a cryptographic coprocessor with secure hardware-based key storage. Okay, so probably what do you think that hardware security and software security? So let us say that you have a key for the lock. Okay, so if the key is available, then you can open the lock. If the key is not available, you are not able to open the lock. Okay, so that key is just like an hardware key. Okay, and whenever you wanted to open the device or open the system or open the application, that key is available to you. Okay, so it is recommended that you can use such type of chips for developing an IoT application. Okay, this chip is from Microchip, and the specifications are available. And even though it has an support for AWS IoT, so these are the things are there here. The another chip you can look for developing an IoT application is CC3220R. Okay, so this is chip from the Texas microcontrollers, Texas microcontroller. Okay, simple link microcontrollers are there. Okay, only thing is that the programming for such type of chips is quite complex. It is not easy, just like an Arduino Uno or Arduino Mega that we are using. So you need to you will require a high level of programming knowledge for developing application for this one. And you can see that the application of this particular chips is entirely based on the IoT application. So it is providing a cloud connectivity, internet gateway. So even though you can use this chip for an IoT gateway, home automation, appliances, access control, security system, smart energy, industrial control, smart plug and metering. So even smart energy metering, it will serve the purpose. Even though it will useful for the wireless audio system, and even though it is useful for the IP network sensor nodes. Okay. So sometimes you need to track some asset. In case of an industrial applications, you need to track an asset. So in that case, this particular chip is having a wide variety of an application. And most important application that is concerned about the IoT is what? Medical devices. So such types of chips, you have to get an programming language. Okay. So the launchpad is available. So it costs near about 1,500. Launchpad is available. What we can say that developer kit. You can try to do some programs like LED blinking or some kind of sensor interfacing or some kind of push button or activator interfacing. You can do some programs, and you will have an hands-on experience for using such type of chips, and then you can use such type of chips for developing an IoT application. So the launchpad for Texas Instrument CC32205 is available on Amazon, and it cost near about 1,500. So such type of chips you can use. Okay. The main important concern is that you should disable UART port. Okay. And the another concern is that you need to design a layered PCB. Okay. So a single layer PCB can easily reverse engineer, but if it is a double layer, it is quite possible that if your circuit is small, in even most of the cases, you can see that by using few wires and few connections, you can develop your IoT applications. Okay. So even there are ready to build modules for sensor, ready to use module for Arduino. So by using 3 pins and just using an USB, you can develop an application. Okay. So in such cases, if you wanted to make your application commercial and viable, in that case you have to use such type of chips. And using such type of chips, you can make your device, your application, and quite complex, so that anybody cannot be used such. You will not enter into the system, and easily the code is not available to the user, and the hardware is also not accessible to the user. Okay. So UART port should be disabled, and you should use an layered PCB. Okay. You need to use an layered PCB. Okay. Another thing that I wanted to explain you about the man in middle attack. So we'll come to the point that what is meant by a man in middle attack. So I will take one more diagram. Okay. So let us take over here. Let us say that we have a device, mobile device. We have a mobile device. Okay. And frequently we are using one Wi-Fi network. Okay. Whenever you go for coffee, you are using one particular network, and that network credential is known to be as an. Okay, you will go to coffee, and the network SSID is known to be as an my coffee. Okay, so you go to most visited coffee shop, and you are using a public network that is known to be as my coffee. Okay, so here this device is sending in packets. Okay, so this particular device sending in packet. okay, Wi-Fi packets. Okay, so when you switch on the Wi-Fi, when you switch on the Wi-Fi, when you switch on the Wi-Fi, in response to this switch on Wi-Fi, the device will send you the packets, okay, to look for the network, okay, and in response to this hotspot will sending you the return file, okay, and so that you are able to browse the internet from this particular hotspot, okay. So what happens in a Pinnacle Wi-Fi in a man in middle attack? The hacker or the intruder will use hardware known to be as an Pinnacle Wi-Fi. Okay, the name of the hardware is known to be as Pinnacle Wi-Fi. Okay, so such type of hardwares are available. Okay, Pinnacle Wi-Fi, and they will create a profile for My Coffee. Okay, so they will create a profile, fake profile. That profile name is same as that you are using in your coffee shop or in a public coffee shop where you are frequently visiting, My Coffee. Okay, so once this fake coffee profile is connected, what happens? They will switch off this particular Wi-Fi network. They will switch off this particular Wi-Fi network, and whatever, when this your Wi-Fi device is looking for internet, at that time it is connected to an fake coffee or SSID, and you are able to browse this one. Okay, so this is a one way. This is one way. So this Pinnacle Wi-Fi will be act as an man in middle. Okay, so instead of your regular hotspot, it is going to be connected to an fake hotspot, and you are able to browse. So in the both the cases, you are able to browse the internet. So in this case also you are able to browse the internet, and in this case also you are also able to browse the internet. Okay, but what happens? This is an authorized device. This is not an authorized device. Okay, so once you have an SSID for this one, okay, so My Coffee has an SSID, okay, and you will get an password for this one. So hacker or intruder will get an password from this, okay, and they are able to get into your system, or they will get into your device or mobile. Okay, so here the most important thing is that whenever this such type of things are there, or you are aware of such type of things, so the most important thing is what, don't save the credentials. Okay, so do not save the SSID, do not save the password, and try to avoid using the open Wi-Fi. Okay, so whatever the Wi-Fi available at public places like in railway stations or any hospitals where you are using an Wi-Fi, so try to avoid using an open Wi-Fi. Okay, public places. So such type of attack is known to be as a man-in-middle attack. Okay, so the hackers will use, or attackers will use an alternative hardware known to be as Pinnacle Wi-Fi, and through this they are able to enter into your system. They are able to use your into system. Now let us take one more one more case over here. So we'll take one more application over here.
Sir, may I ask question?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Sir, that previous diagram, Pinnacle attack.
Okay. Okay. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
No, sir, but here what I would like to ask, how those hacker will get permission to switch off original device?
Yes. It is. They will have an permission to you, because once they know the SSID,
Huh?
and once they know the password, they are able to switch off the device.
Means
It
then
is
it
possible
would
with
be
this hardware.
okay. It means that who have that hardware, with
Uh,
the help of that
uh,
hardware, anyone can do that. Means if I went to
yes,
that
sir.
coffee
Even
shop, I
though
have
if you
my.
wanted to block the
Hello,
hello,
yes,
sir.
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please.
Yes.
No, first of all, you
Even though
explain.
what am I able to say? Yes, I forgot my time. You can come up. You can tell.
Actually, sir, what I mean to say, I went to that coffee shop and I have that particular device, Pinnacle device. Then it would be possible for me to switch off original Wi-Fi point.
Yes, yes, it is possible. Okay, it is possible. Even though to block the mobile's signals, the
Huh?
hardware is available. So in
Okay,
particular
okay,
area, you are not able to use the mobile signals. Okay, so
okay.
yeah, even though in that case, also particular mobile phone is allowed to access the signals, but not all mobile phones are allowed to access the signals. So such type of
Yes,
hardwares are available.
yes.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you, thank you.
Okay. Uh, Thank you for your attention. Uh, okay,
My
let us
pleasure,
go
sir.
for an next application. Okay. So let us say that we have another application where we are using again an temperature monitoring system where we are using an LM35. The LM35 is directly connected to an Raspberry Pi. Okay, and that Raspberry Pi is connected to an Wi-Fi to some server or some cloud. Okay, so we are sending data to the clouds. Okay, so in this particular case, okay, here Raspberry Pi has a dedicated operating system. Okay, and it has a dedicated Wi-Fi, so there is no means of using some alternative device for connecting an IoT device. Okay, so in that case, the using Raspberry Pi is more secure. Okay, in such application using Raspberry Pi and more secure. So if you see previous application where LM35 is connected to an Arduino Mega and then it is connected to an ESP01. Okay. Now in this case it is more secure because this Raspberry Pi device has having more computing power and having its own dedicated operating system. So only permitted person will able to access this Raspberry Pi device. Okay, and even through this Raspberry Pi entering into the server is quite difficult. So this is what an example I wanted to say that. So if you have a device, so see here, if you wanted to incorporate the security feature into Arduino Uno and Arduino Mega, it is not possible because since it is in small computing devices, employing an operating system is quite difficult. Even though it is this particular system is not used in case of a tiny operating system or particularly RTOS particular type of systems. Okay, so this is completely such type, making and such application is compared to more secure, but not completely secure. We can say that using such type of Raspberry Pi is more secure but not completely secure. That is what my point in previous application and this application. Okay, so let us say that I think sir has in previous sessions you might have an idea about the MQTT protocol useful for the IoT. Okay, so let us take one over here. I wanted to show this particular link. Okay, so MQTT protocol is a lightweight protocol and it is a secure protocol. So here, that is one particular tool is available known to be as an Shodan.io. Okay, one particular tool is available. Okay, so using such type of tool, for hacking is not permitted or it is not legal, but for getting an information about how many devices are connected is permitted. Okay, so Shodan.io is a tool. It is an open, even though you can search it on the Google, you will get an website known to be Shodan.io. Okay, and in this case, I would like to only search that how many IoT devices those are using an MQTT protocol. Just I am using and search over here. Okay, so it will give you the list and their IP addresses. Okay, so by using this particular tools, if I will get an IP address of the device, it is more important and more crucial information for me. It is more important and more crucial information in this. So worldwide you can see that Korea is using more MQTT devices. Secondly, China is using more MQTT devices. US is using third largest MQTT devices. Fourth one is Germany, then Australia. Okay, even though you are able to see that how many devices those are using an HTTP protocols. Are you able to see my screen? Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So here you can see that if the devices those are using an HTTP protocol, the IP address and their list will be given here. Okay. So here you can see that. Okay. So let us say that as we are concerned with the IoT, so let us try to go on searching and the IoT devices which are using an MQTT protocol and try to open such type of devices. Okay. Okay, so let us take that if I got an IP address of this one. Okay, so let us I will go for over here. Okay, so this is an Hawaii Cloud Service data center. It is located in China. Okay, this is the port number. The protocol used as TCP, HTTP. Another protocol is given as 443. Okay, the certification which they are using, SSL certificate is there. Okay, and if the location, the Google Map is location of this particular is gone over here. Okay, so what I will go on looking for devices are using protocols and having port like 1883. Okay, so these are the ports. Okay, so these are the by default port numbers. Okay, these are the by default port numbers available for the MQTT devices, and even though you can look for a particular IoT devices. Okay, so I'm not demonstrating over here, but what things can happen that I want to tell you over here. So let us go for this particular IP 95.93.100.249 using an MQTT connection. Okay, so this is a port number 1883. Okay, so there is a tool known to be as Putty. Okay, are you able to see my screen? Putty configuration. Hello. Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. You can see Putty configuration over here. So I will
Yes,
paste
sir.
the IP address over here.
Okay.
Okay, and here I will change the port number. I will change the port number over here. Okay, so
Okay.
let us say that I will change the port number to 1883.
Mm.
Okay, and I will try to open the device. Okay, so even though this is what an software calls and network connections. Okay, so this is somewhat secure because if you see that there are so many people, those are using an Raspberry Pi type of devices. They are even not changing their username, are not able to change their default port number. Okay, so we are able to log into their devices. We are able to open their devices. Okay, but getting an IP address, access of an IP address for such type of devices is very crucial information for any intruder or any hacker. Okay, so for a good cause you can use shodan.com, and this is also permitted, but if you are going for some bad cause, then it is not an permitted for using it. Okay, but the information is what information we are looking over here is that which type of MQTT devices are used and what is their IP address. So this is what an important information for any intruder or any hacker. Okay, one more thing that I would like to demonstrate over here is that so in smart city there are so many cameras are there for monitoring the traffic lights are available there. So such type of cameras are, if they are not secure properly, the intruder will go into their system. The intruder will go into their system and access their Wi-Fi camera. Okay, so there is Docker are available. That Docker link is I'm going to give here. In view :view.index.html. So HTML is the file related to webcams. the files that are related to webcam. Okay, so over here you can see that the IP camera and their IP address is available over here. Okay, you can view traffic cameras from the particular cities. Okay, so these are available even though their IP names are available. So here in view, let us say that this is a network camera. So maybe this particular camera is located somewhere in the world, and the live streaming is happening for this particular camera. Okay, so maybe this is somewhere in the Kirchhoff's Institute for Physics. This camera is located. Okay, so what happens now if this camera is not secure? I can log into their system and I can change their feed. Even though I can alter their system, I can shut down their cameras, or I can send the different feed. I can show them their different feed. So such type of Dockers are available. So such type of things are there. So even if they nowadays smart cities are there. Smart cities, so many sensors are used, so many cameras are used, and if these cameras are open and having some lack of security issues, these are easily available for the hackers or intruder, and they are get into the system. Okay, so just I already explained to you that their main purpose is what, not as hacking a small IoT device. Their main purpose is what, hacking and targeting and big enterprises like an Amazon or Amazon Prime or Netflix. Like these big clouds are, or big companies, they are targeting through a small IoT devices. Okay, so such type of things are there. One more case is there, that is known to be the Mirai botnet attack. So this is basically a server attack. This is particularly Mirai botnet attack. This is particularly related to an IoT that. Okay, so the scammer, they are using IoT devices. Okay, so let us say that for one particular server, it is able to handle 1 million hits. Okay, the server has an capability of handling 1 million requests at a time. Okay, but what happens suddenly, the request are goes to 2 millions. Okay, the server gets down. Okay, the server is not able to give the request, give the response, and the server is down. Okay, so such type of things are there. Now you can see that there are so many IoT devices are there, and all these IoT devices are requesting the same server at the same time. Okay, and the server has only 1 million response, or it can handle only 1 million hits. Okay, and suddenly the hit request will be 2 millions. In that case the server will be in down state. Okay, so recently there is a news that through an Raspberry Pi device, the NASA server is going it's got hacked. Okay, you might have listened this particular news. Okay, so this is a Mirai botnet attacks, where the denial of service attack, known to be as DOS attack, by using so many IoT devices at the same time, attacked on the server, and the server is crashed. Okay, such type of things will be there. Okay, the another thing that is important for the IoT device security is concerned, that at the hardware level, how we can go for an implementing a security. At an hardware level, how we can going to implement and security. Okay, so the most important thing is that we are going to secure the firmware. So nowadays, firmware developer, there is a separate post for firmware developer. There are so many people are there. There are so many companies are there. They are only looking for the firmware developer, having a background of knowledge of Linux and C language, C++ language. Okay, so they are able to handle an IoT IoT devices, Wi-Fi request, Wi-Fi devices, Wi-Fi enabled devices. Okay, so the most important thing is comes to the firmware. Okay, so let us say that over here, so we have a hardware system which consists of a bootloader, Okay, so bootloader, just like in your BIOS, like basic operating system, basic input and output system at the starting of your laptop, similar like at the starting it is required. So bootloader is there, just like in your BIOS. The another system that comes to an hardware device is what an kernel. Okay, a kernel is similar to any operating system. Okay, kernel is similar to an operating system. Okay, and the most important part comes to a file system. Okay, file system, file system. Okay, so in case of an IoT devices, when you develop and when you are developing a firmware, or when you are writing a firmware or firmware development, uh, the important thing comes to developing a bootloader, developing a kernel. This similar to like an kernel Linux kernel. Linux kernel, and this is just like an all files or all data files. Okay, so the file system used over here is known to be as an LASMA file system. LASMA file system. Okay. Okay, so whenever you develop an firmware, okay, firmware, the most important things comes to the file system. Okay, so once this file system is open to the hacker, okay, just like I already explained to you that. Okay, so once they can change the firmware, or they can reverse engineering the firmware, and through that firmware they are going to be entered into your file system, and through their files, through file system, they can access the code. And in the code there is always mention about that what is the username and the password, and once they will have access to the username and password, through this they can enter into your system. Okay, so the LASBA file system is just like a Linux file system. You can Google it. Here you can have a Linux file system. Okay. There are so many file systems are there, but the LASBA type of file system is complex file system. Okay, so it is discussed in open source file system. Okay, so this is an LASMA file system is useful in case of a compression system because since the IoT devices are having low storage and low computing power, so for that they are using an file system, LASMA file system. Okay, so most important thing is that the firmware should be more secure compared to that, and the hackers or intruder will not be able to access to the system. Okay, now we'll come to the part where we have discussed. Okay, now let us talk about the gateway security. Let us talk about the gateway security. Let us talk about the gateway security. Okay. Now, if you go for using an gateway security, okay, you can just search for an IoT gateway on the internet. Okay. So again, just like IoT gateways and also in hardware, and we need to secure these gateways. Okay. So there are so many means by which we can secure the IoT gateways. Okay, I will come to that point. Okay, so these are the different Cisco industrial gateways are available. So you can see that there are so many ports are available. Okay, so they are meant for industry 4.0 gateways. Okay, mostly dedicated gateways for development and applications. Okay, so when you come to the IoT gateway, how we can secure the IoT gateway security? The most important thing is what the gateway should have an antivirus. Okay, so this is a way to secure an gateway. The another thing is what the gateway should have a firewall. Okay, so firewall is just like it is a rule-based system. It is a rule-based system which will allow you certain services and which will disallow you certain services. Okay, it is a rule-based firewall. That means what the permission will be available at the firewall, which will allow you to use certain services and which will disallow you to use certain services. Okay, so the most recommended open source firewall is UFW. Okay, it is an open source firewall. So this is a recommendation for the securing the IoT gateways. The another thing is what the gateway should have a packet monitoring system. The gateway should have a packet monitoring system. Okay, in the packet monitoring system, the recommended open source packet monitoring system is Wireshark. Wireshark. Okay, and the another important thing that is useful for the gateway security is known to be as an IDS and IPS. Okay, so what is an IDS and IPS stands for? The IDS and IPS stands for the intrusion detection and prevention system. Intrusion detection and prevention system. Okay, so the most recommended open source IDS and IPS is SNOT, SNOT. Even you can Google it on the SNOT. So SNOT, the steps are given there. Even though you can implement this SNOT packet monitoring system, intrusion detection and prevention system, you are able to, the instructions are given there. Okay, for installing to the Raspberry Pi. Okay, getting started. So every information is available there. How we can protect, how we can use an intrusion detection and prevention system, and we can install into an Raspberry Pi or gateway type of devices. Okay. Okay, the rules are there, documentations are there. Okay, so you can download and you can use Snort. Okay, Wireshark is for packet monitoring system. Okay, so here it is also an open source. You can download it, and the instructions are given that how we can install to in your gateway devices. Okay, and similarly the firewall UFW. Okay, so UFW for setup for Ubuntu 18.04 is given instruction over there. Okay, so up till now we discussed about the IoT device security. So in the IoT device security, I have given you some information about that. What are the different security layers like InfoSec, cyber security, computer security. Then we go through an IoT ecosystem. Then we have seen some steps about keeping an IoT device secure. Then we have discussed few sample about the attacks, printer attack we have discussed, then big crowd, white hat hackers attackers there. We discussed few cases like using an LM35 with Atmega 2560 and ESP011. So in that case, which one is more secure? Okay, similarly LM35 is interface with the Raspberry Pi and it is connected to an cloud. So we discussed this two system, same system for temperature monitoring and sending data to the cloud. Then we discuss about the man in middle attack. Okay, Okay, then we discuss about that few cases about accessing the MQTT devices located at a remote location by using Shodan.io. Okay, getting its IP address, and then we are using some Google Docker. By using Google Docker, we are able to access Wi-Fi camera at an from the remote access. Okay, but if it is accessible to you, once the IP address is available to you, you can use this. You can alter the system for their one. Okay, then we discuss about the firmware. Okay, so firmware development is an important aspect for IoT security, since the firmware lies into an IoT device. The firmware lies into an IoT devices. Okay, so we discuss about the different blocks of building and firmware. So bootloader is an important part of firmware. Kernel is an important part of an firmware, and file system. Okay, so the most recommended file system for developing in firmware is Lasma. Okay, and then we'll come to security of an gateway devices. So the recommendation for gateway security is what? Using an antivirus, using an firewall, using an packet monitoring system, and using an intrusion detection and prevention system is given over there. So we'll take a break over here for 15 minutes, and later on we'll come to you. So till now, if you have we have 5 minutes to have a break. If anybody is having some question, you can ask me for this session. Hello.
Yes, sir. I have no doubt.
Okay. Hello, Kulkarni sir. We'll go
Yes,
for
sir.
break for 15 minutes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sure.
Okay. So we'll meet again at 3:15.
3:15. At sharp thing. 3:15. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.